Hey y'all, I'm your host, Aaron Smith of the Offshore Marine Service Association. Each Friday, I'll bring you the Offshore Briefing, a quick rundown of the week's notable developments, updates, and news you need to know in the offshore space. Whether you're on deck or at your desk, we're glad you're here. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Maritime in America, the Offshore Briefing. It's great to come to you again, and as always, I have two of my great coworkers here, Ashley and Angel. How y'all doing?
Doing good today.
Hanging in. It's been a week. I can't wait for school to start next week.
I bet multiple people are in that same boat. I know our friends on the East Coast have a few more weeks there, but I think most of the Gulf Coast is going back to school either this week or next.
Although, as the words came out, I realized I'm not looking forward to school traffic in the morning or the afternoon.
My niece and nephew started today.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah.
We start next Thursday.
Yep. I think a lot of the down here in New Orleans and Louisiana area, I think a lot of the North Shore started today.
Yeah.
And then, but I think the down the bayou is all next week with us. So hope everyone has a safe return to school. I know those first few days are always hectic. So let's go. But, I know when we were getting on the phone to talk about some topics, I think we all have some interesting things to talk about. And kind of, they were all what appear on their face to be completely disparate topics, but I think they're all kind of the same. Let's see. I guess let's go alphabetically outside of Aaron, and let's go Angel first. Angel, what do you got to talk about this week?
Okay, so last week we did talk about the U.S. verification system. I'm sorry, the Coast Guard verification system.
For merchant mariners, yes, yeah.
Yes, for the merchant mariners. And I did say that the system was not as good as we had before. I would like
Shocker.
to retract that statement because I've used it and I actually like it better.
Wait, so the Coast Guard broke something and then fixed it and made it better? This is a first. We have to give a lot of credit to the National Maritime Center. Our apologies.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And the email method, it's actually very quick. As soon as you enter the information in the form, it's like a minute or less that you'll get an email with all of the information in there. You can just print it out if you need to print it or whatever you would need to do with that email, but it's very, very quick.
Well, that is good to hear. And all flippant comments aside, I am very glad to hear that because making sure being able to verify someone's license quickly is something that can not only halt commerce, which is detrimental to the nation, but also halts that individual's career. If they're trying to get on board a vessel and they can't because no one knows if the license they have is actually accurate, that can be really detrimental to them and to their family. So I'm glad to hear that there is a workable solution again, and would take back some of my negative comments about the Coast Guard's ability to fix things. And I'm sure that that our friend Admiral Arkin will be glad to hear that the new system is working well.
Ashley, what do you have?
I was keeping my mouth shut because I am not surprised. I'm just happy that they have fixed it and that it's easier to use. I'm working on all the stuff that we have coming up in the fall for OMSA. It's super exciting. The membership there's lots of opportunities for everyone to get engaged. Specifically, I sent for Friday Fast Fact, where I apologize, on Thursday, I sent an alert out asking, reminding everyone what all the stuff we have coming up in fall and winter, but more importantly, to ask for information and to ask for your feedback. We're still soliciting for the Bob Larry Award. We've had some great submissions.
Yes, yeah.
Really great submissions.
I'm excited about that this year.
And it can go one or two ways, and either way this event goes is going to be really fun and awesome. So I'm excited about it. But, we have our regulatory meeting coming up on September 10th, and I really just want people's feedback on it. Some of the topics that we're proposing is to have a U.S. Coast Guard speaker come talk on cybersecurity. as well as to talk on inspections. We also have our fall conference coming up. The OMSA staff sat around, and what we do is we pitch ideas to each other, and then we just kind of snowball from then, kind of like a and then game, if you will, if anyone knows what those are. But it really didn't work.
Well, do you mean and then, or do you mean yes and?
Yes, and
like improv.
But so crisis communication management is something that came up, and we've got Anna Stallman, who is OMSA PR person, phenomenal. She wants to come talk on that, which I think would be great for our members. We've invited Admiral Watson with D8 to come. We also, mariner education is just a hot topic, right? There's so much to get fixed there. There's so much opportunity. And let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. Let's get a good speaker. And also, something else how is the rest of the maritime industry supporting the Jones Act? The Jones Act is maritime, right? Maritime isn't just offshore. It's inland, it's shipbuilding, it's all. So that's another topic. How are we all working together to accomplish a goal? So I like to give ideas out to the membership to kind of let their brains work on what they want to hear about or who they want to hear from. So I just love to hear from everybody on that.
I think I'm really excited about this year's fall conference because I think the agenda will be really good and really interesting. One, Anna has presented twice to OMSA members, and it's been some of our highest rated content that we've ever had because it's always timely topics and it is always very much information that people can take and immediately use. It's not something that's like in the ether or theoretical. It is something that you can hear about it one day and use it the next day in your job or in your life. And that's always of great value. And, I'm really glad to have Admiral Watson back down here in D8, that he's, I think, going to be a great district commander. So I'm excited to hear from him as well. We've had a great history of D8 commanders with Admiral Barada and Admiral Timmy, Admiral Neto, all the way back even to Admiral Cook.
Yeah.
And so,
point, Aaron.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I was thinking about Admiral Barada. Can you remind us where he landed after leaving D8? I mean, he was phenomenal and just such a great leader.
So he is going up to headquarters now, or he is up at headquarters now. And he is going to be Nate Moore's deputy, who is the kind of second. Admiral Moore is the second in command of Coast Guard, and Admiral Barada is going to be his deputy. So he'll be working closely with Admiral Arquin Admiral Arquin is the very capable head of prevention and policy for Coast Guard, does all the marine safety missions for the Coast Guard. So Admiral Barada will be working with him up there. So it's great to have another friend up in headquarters, but we're definitely going to miss him down here. But, I really like your idea on the mariner education. I think I'm hearing a lot of different ideas about how that industry goes. And some of the ideas are directly opposite. Others of them, I think, are very complementary. But I would love to see a battle royale of mariner education ideas and see what comes out, because kind of like we were joking about on Angel's topic, the current system isn't working. There are way too many, and we've had how many people have come and talked about this on the podcast. Certainly John Fontenot talked about it. Rick Spade talked about it. We've had so many people talk about how it is so tough to be a mariner right now. And this is such a great industry. We got to remove those barriers. So I'm excited about that topic if we do that panel discussion as well. I think it'll be cool.
Agree. And again, I love to put that out there. And if you don't have a particular person, but you have an idea, that's great. Give us the idea and we'll run and find a speaker. On the opposite end, if you have a great speaker, that's awesome too. I love to get with them and then we do kind of snowball the same thing about ideas, how it relates to our industry, to our association. So either way, I'd love to hear.
Yeah. Well, and let's not also make sure we overlook next month's meeting, the regulatory meeting, which is more the in the weeds topics. But I want to hear from the members on what's the biggest thing causing them pain and causing them concern. Let's address it. And if we don't have the knowledge here amongst the OMSA staff, let's go find a speaker to talk about it. And I always love when we have the Coast Guard personnel come in and talk about inspection trends and points of emphasis and common problems that they're seeing, because I think we learn so much when we have those topics about, okay, if you find the same failure on this vessel, and this vessel, what's the root cause of that? And let's address it and see if we can figure out a way where everyone, instead of vessel company A, vessel company B, and vessel company C, all trying to figure out the problem on their own. So I'm excited about that topic as well. But if people have other problems that they're having, let's bring them out and let's talk about them. Well, and like I said, I kind of have a connected topic, but it won't look connected at all. And what I was looking at this week the Coast Guard came out with their report on the Titan submarine and the tragedy that happened in 2023 with the Titan submarine imploding and sinking as it tried to investigate the Titanic. And if anyone who has read Friday Fast Facts and was reading Friday Fast Facts in 2023 knows, I am very skeptical of Coast Guard involvement in this tragedy. And it happened outside of U.S. waters. It did not happen with a U.S. craft. But at the same time, I know that we hear from the Coast Guard how stretched thin they are on resources. But we had time to produce a report on a vessel that was not engaged in commerce, or was minimally engaged in commerce, and was outside of U.S. waters. Let's take those resources and figure out some problems that are affecting the U.S. maritime industry today. And what I see in this report is what everyone knew, that this company was woefully under-resourced to operate a submarine thousands of feet below the water, and they didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't have the proper safety procedures in place. I don't think we needed a report to say that. Those resources could have been better used.
There's like a full documentary on it.
Yeah. So, that's what I think is, I think we need to be looking at what we have in the U.S. maritime industry before we start going and trying to find problems to solve that everyone already knows what the answer is. So that's what I saw this week that I found interesting.
But realistically, the facts, all your facts are, it's just it's an uncomfortable thing to say, but it has to be said, right?
It is.
Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard.
Yes, and you're exactly right. Lives were lost, and that is tragic. But yeah,
that vessel didn't have to operate under half or even a third of what our vessels have to operate.
Yes.
Requirements from the Coast Guard.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, if we need to look at foreign vessels that are operating at a lower safety standard, we don't have to go into international waters. I know in U.S. waters there are foreign vessels operating at a lower safety standard right here. Let's go look at those first. But that's my jaded topic, but I thought it was an important one this week. So I appreciate everyone bringing some great stories to this week's episode of Offshore Briefing. If our listeners like this topic or want to hear more of these topics or different topics, I would urge you to look. What was that, Ashley?
Or don't want to hear from us.
I would look at everyone to look at Friday Fast Facts coming out this morning, where we'll have dozens of other stories that are affecting the U.S. maritime industry. And I'm excited to continue to bring great content out in those. And I think we have some good guests lined up for the flagship of Maritime in America, our interviews. I know we have one ready and is going to be released next week or the week after, and then we're recording another great one right after that. So we're going to have some great guests coming up and looking forward to it. So with that, I hope everyone has a good weekend and is safe, and everyone take care.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Happy Friday.
All right. Bye, everybody.
That wraps up another episode of Maritime in America. We're proud to highlight the voices and stories that keep the American offshore industry strong. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us, and remember, the course ahead is shaped by those who step up and steer it. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your crew. Tune in every Friday for your offshore briefing, and don't miss our next full episode, dropping soon with a very special guest's mariner's perspective. Catch you next time.